So we're going to continue on with our discussion of fruits and vegetables today with the great debate of, is fresh better? Is frozen better? Is canned better? My ultimate answer behind this is it's the one you're willing to eat at the end of the day, right? If you're eating zero vegetables and getting no color on your plate, at that point, we just need to get something on there, right? That's a better start than absolutely having nothing on there. Okay. But if we're looking at kind of comparing each of these different options, right? And this one's probably going to shock you a little bit because probably the first answer everyone's going to say is, oh, well, absolutely. Like fresh is the absolute best. You should definitely do fresh vegetables. That's what you should go to, right? Now, again, any vegetable as much as vegetables you put on your plate, that's the goal, right? But if you look at a fresh vegetable, and let me just give you an example. So if I take a tomato that's coming all the way from California, right? And that tomato's got to come all the way over to the other side of the country let's say to New York. Okay. That's 3,000 miles in between both of those, that distance from California, wherever it is, all the way to the other side of the country. Okay. So the thing you're gonna have to think about there, right, is well, that tomato's gotta get picked. It's gotta get washed. It might have to be picked a little bit sooner than it needs to be because if it ripens too fast, it might go bad too fast, right? But now since we've picked that tomato, it's no longer getting the nutrition or nutrients it would from the stalk or from the plant, whatever it's specifically coming from, that's then getting it from the ground. Okay. So now it's losing that. Now we got to put it in a truck. Okay. Where it's probably going to go from an environment where it may be hot or humid or warm into now a freezer truck. Okay. That's now going to have to then travel that 3,000 miles across the country all the way to New York to then now drop off that specific tomato to you, your restaurant, your supermarket, wherever it may specifically be, right? So if you realistically look at it, now that tomato could be anywhere between 5 to 15 days old, right? Which is crazy to think about. You're like, I mean, a 5 to 15 year old tomato, like why would I need to do that, right? But when you get it on in the supermarket, right, it looks fresh. It looks like the color looks great. It looks very appealing. So of course you're gonna buy it, right? And again, this is not me saying like downing, don't eat fresh vegetables. It's 10 days old, don't eat it. Like I'm not saying that whatsoever. I'm just giving you a realistic view, right? Depending on where our fruits, vegetables, or our food products are coming from, it may be several days from where it's initially picked to where it's actually on our shelves. Okay. The other thing I think about too is how often is that fruit or vegetable coming in and out of the trailer, right? Right. Getting exposed to heat, getting exposed to cold, getting exposed to heat, because that can also have an effect on the freshness or the quality of that vegetable too. Same thing with fruit. But if you look at a frozen vegetable, right, it's picked, it's cleaned, and it's flash frozen. So when it's flash frozen, in that sense, now those nutrients are locked in, right? Because now they're kept in a truck or in an area where the vegetables are keeping frozen, right? So we don't have heat or environmental factors that are possibly breaking down that specific fruit or vegetable in this case. So if you look at it, right, and in a lot of cases, those frozen vegetables might be fresher or at a higher quality than some of your fresh vegetables just because of the way that they might process them. Okay. If we go over to canned vegetables, right? Canned vegetables are typically going to probably be the cheapest out of all three options. So if you're an athlete or a family that comes from a really low economic situation, and there's certain, maybe fresh vegetables you really like, but it's just not fitting in your budget and you can't afford it, right? But we still need to get fruit and vegetables on the table, so we can get those necessary things we need from them. Then you might have to use a canned vegetable, right? I come from a background where I lived off of food stamps. I lived off of being, going to the food bank with my parents because we come from a very low economic background. And, we were just lucky that we got a protein, a carb, and a vegetable or fruit on our plate every day. And that was great that just happened. So, instead of judging what the person is eating, figure out what their background is, where they're coming from, what type of fruits and vegetables that they like, what are they willing to eat, but then expose them to other ways and other options that they can try to introduce or add those in. Now, coming back to the canned vegetable, right? So picked, cleaned, put into the can, right? But that can or that vegetable technically needs to be heated, right? within the can, because what they want to do there is they want to kill all the possible bacteria that's going to be in that canned item, so that when you open it, right, you're not going to eat it and ingest it and get sick. Okay. You're also going to typically see salt in a lot of your canned products or a lot of your processed or box products. And the reason behind that is that's to help to extend the shelf life of that product and then reduce the risk of any type of bacteria and things growing specifically in there. So at the end of the day, try to get some type of vegetable on your plate is better than nothing. I would say get a variety of these different options, right? Always try to get as many fresh vegetables as possible. If it's a time crunch, you can see the steam bag there. It takes 5 minutes. You put it in the microwave, add a little salt, pepper, olive oil, maybe a little dab of butter to make the flavor taste a little bit better. If it's a situation where you're really tight on a budget, steamed vegetables and bag vegetables can be cheap, $1 to $2 a bag at times. But if there's a last case scenario or just having canned vegetables is easier, maybe that's the option you go towards. But again, utilize a variety of these different options. And as long as you're getting something on your plate, something within there on a daily basis, that's the most important aspect to try to think of.